My day started like any other, then things went from merely normal to severely weird in just a few hours. It began with my mother asking me about the upcoming party. "Any ideas about what your costume is going to be?" I wasn't planning to go this year, Mom, so no, I haven't given it any thought. "Not going? But your father helped set it up this year. Everyone will expect you to be there." "Yeah, but everyone uses the same costumes over and over, Mom. We always know who everyone is." "That is quite true, which is why I have the perfect costume for you, and I promise, nobody will know who you are." Planting the seeds of my own demise. Okay, I guess, just as long as nobody will know who I am. You know that I try hard every year, Mom, and I always lose. If you can do it, have the perfect costume for me, I mean, then I'm willing to try it, but you have to promise me that this year it'll be different. I don't want anyone to know who I am. Oh, I can promise that. I can absolutely promise that no one will know who you are, and in fact, I'll even bet that you'll win the first prize. Yeah, right. As if. All right then, I'll tell you what I have in mind. You're going to become Cinderella, but since you have already agreed to try something new, you cannot fight me on anything that I do. You have to go along, and work very hard to make it work, or no deal. Think of it this way, honey, it'll be two fairy tales in one. Cinderella and the Ugly Duckling combined into one. It'll be fun, I promise. A girl. I don't see why I have to dress up as a girl, Mom. I can go as what I did last. You did that last year, and something similar the year before. Everyone expects you to do about the same thing, which is why you never win anything. But this year, I promise that you'll not only win the money, but maybe win the title too. Yeah. Right. Queen of the Fall Harvest? Me? Mom. I'm a guy, remember? Yes, honey, I know that, which is why this will be perfect. No one will ever know. But you've already agreed, but if you think that you can't do it, we'll forget it. How about this? If you do what I tell you and you make it to the finals, you don't even have to win, you'll get your car. Okay? But Mom, a girl? A princess? That's so different. I know. That's why it'll work. Nobody will expect it. Okay, yeah, you're probably right, I guess, but now that we have that settled, I want you to promise me that you'll do your very best to make this work. And once we start, I don't want you to tell anyone, and you'll have to dress and act like a girl at all times. Anything less and you'll lose and find yourself walking for a very long time, okay? I suppose, but great. Now let's go and see exactly what sizes you'll need. And that's how my very first foray into the world of girls began. I had just turned 15, weighed about 130 pounds and stood about 5 foot 7 inches tall, if I stretched. Just a normal guy. My voice had not changed yet, but I was hoping, and I had not yet started to shave, which Mom said was a very good thing. After taking a lot of measurements, she asked if I wanted to help her select my first outfit, but I declined. I did not want to be seen buying girls' clothes, that's for sure. I found out when she got home that was big a mistake. I watched as she set the bags on my bed, then. "I want you to get undressed so I can see how the clothes fit." When I got to my briefs, she wagged her finger and those went as well, leaving me to pull on those panties she handed me or stand there naked. After I had them on, it didn't seem like there was a lot of difference between being naked and wearing those whisper-thin panties. Then came the bra, which she helped me get on, then she stuffed the cups with some very lifelike breast forms. After that she dragged me to her room so she could do my hair, as she put it, and as I sat there watching in the mirror I slowly realized that maybe, just maybe, Mom was right, maybe I would turn out to be pretty. I doubted it, but you never know, I guess. With my hair all wound up tight in those rollers, she started on the makeup. Foundation, eyeliner, shadow, and blusher were applied, then it was back into my room to get dressed, starting with the padded panty brief, then pantyhose, followed by the skirt. It was a type I had seen many girls wear. It was about 2 inches above my knees, red and white, with pleats. It had a single button and zipped up the back. The blouse was plain white, but it had small flowers on the collar and had short sleeves. The shoes were black with low heels. Then it was back to take the rollers out and styling, as Mom put it. When she was done and I looked in the mirror, was shocked into silence because I looked just as good as most of the girls in school. I saw Mom in the mirror. She was grinning at me. Then she took my hand and dabbed my wrist with some perfume. You look fabulous, honey. Better than I imagined you would. Thanks, I think. The tug of the bra straps on my shoulders, the weight of the breast forms, the whisper-thin nothingness of the panties, combined with the grasp of the pantyhose on my legs and the airy feeling of the skirt, plus the taste of lipstick, the sight of makeup on my face and the way my hair looked, well, I was done for and I knew it. Mom would never relent, because one look in the mirror was all it took for me to realize that my mother had been right. The chances of my winning, in my eyes, had gone up quite a bit, because with what seemed like a minimum of effort she had turned me into what appeared to be a modestly pretty teenage girl. Since you'll be dressing as a girl every day for a while, you'll need more to wear than that skirt and blouse. Why don't we hit the mall and see what we can find? You'll need a gown anyway, so... The mall! Are you crazy, Mom? If the guys see me like this, they'll... I hate to break it to you, honey, but look in the mirror again and tell me just how they'll know it's you? Are you going to tell them? But... I don't want to go outside like this. Honey, you're just as pretty as most girls your age are. I know that you're scared, but you have to do this. Sooner or later you'll have to let people see you, so why not start now and get used to it? There isn't any way that anyone will know that you're not a girl, not if you do what I tell you. Okay? Sadly, she was right, and I had nothing to say. Well, I did, but it wouldn't have mattered. She was determined, and I had promised to do my best, so I was stuck. Without pausing, she handed me a small shoulder bag to carry, grabbed my hand, and out we went, headed for the largest shopping mecca in the county. Hundreds of stores, thousands of people, and me, a boy in a skirt. From the very first moment we walked into the mall, I felt as if everyone was staring at me, but soon realized that was foolish. One other thing happened to me as we strolled through the mall. I found out that wearing a skirt wasn't so bad, once I got over the fact that I was out in public wearing one, that is. It was airy, and more comfortable than I imagined, and after realizing that nobody was staring at me in an unusual way, I soon relaxed almost enough to almost enjoy shopping with my mom. Except for that time she dragged me into a lingerie shop and had me trying on bras. I almost freaked out. Standing in that booth trying on bras was scary as hell, I'll say that much. But with Mom's help, I managed to get through that ordeal without completely falling apart. Then there was the trying on of dresses, slacks and shorts, blouses and shoes, which I thought was a huge waste of time, since I simply couldn't figure out why I needed so much stuff. As we strolled along, we passed one of those costume jewelry places, with a girl in a booth out front offering free piercing with the purchase of $10 or more. You should do it, honey, especially since your gown will look so much better with pierced ears. Without a word I shrugged, then sat in the chair and let the girl do it, using small hoop earrings as starters. I rationalized getting pierced ears because a lot of the guys at school were wearing earrings, so I figured it wasn't such a big deal. But by the time I agreed to that bit of femininity I had already discovered, based on the way I felt, and the way some of the other kids at the mall looked at me, that maybe being a girl wouldn't be so bad. Not exactly good, of course, but not as bad as I had imagined. It was only scary because I didn't want to be found out. We went to a place where they did my makeup over, with Mom buying some of everything they used. I thought we would need a truck to get everything home, but Mom merely grinned when I mentioned it. Why do I need all of this stuff, Mom? I mean, it's just 2 days of party, then the contest. And it's almost 3 months away, which is why we're starting now. You need to get comfortable not only wearing the clothes, but you need to learn how to act like a girl as well, and you also have to learn how to do your own makeup and hair. I told you that you would be dressing as a girl every day for a while because I figured that at the end of 3 months you'll be able to look, act, and feel like a real princess. But what about my vacation? I mean, I was looking forward to going to the camp again this year. No camp this year, I'm sorry. We did however enroll you in a charm school to help you learn all of the mannerisms a girl your age would use. It's only a month, but we're sure that you'll enjoy it, and since you'll be dressing as a girl every day, how could you possibly go to an all-boys camp? I was sunk. My own mother had manipulated me into agreeing to do whatever was required to win, using the possibility of getting a car as bait, and me, not thinking it through, had jumped at the chance. I had not realized that I was obligated to do whatever she wanted, meaning, according to her, that I would be dressing as a girl for at least 3 months, full time. With a deep sigh, realizing what I had done, she and I dragged everything to my room where we spent an hour or so putting things away, after she removed most of my boy clothes. I was still wearing that same skirt and blouse when my dad got home. "Oh, I see that you've agreed to try and win this year." "Yeah, I guess. Mom said that I could do it. I'll bet that you'll be the prettiest girl at the ball." "Dad, think about that. I'm your son, remember?" "Of course. I know that, but for the next 3 months or so you're our daughter, and in order to help you win, we are going to treat you as our daughter." "Great. Just what I needed," I said sarcastically. "That's exactly why we're doing it. To help you." She must have missed the sarcasm. "We have decided to call you Susan. Susan Elizabeth. It's a very feminine name. I hope you like it." "Yeah, it's fine, Mom." "Great. Now we can get you some kind of identification for when you're out." "Out? You're not going to stay in the house all summer, and you do have charm school to attend, so yes, out." It was clear there wasn't any way that I was going to get around the fact that I would be spending some time as a girl. Mom made that very clear, so I dropped it and went to my room. There wasn't any arguing with her about, and I knew it. Opening my closet, I looked at the skirts and blouses that we had bought, fingering each one in turn. Then I decided to try on the shorts, something that I had not done in the store. Mom simply picked them off the rack and added them to our pile. I slipped off the skirt and stepped into the shorts, quickly realizing that I would have to make some adjustments or hurt myself, which I did. I tucked everything between my legs, and when I buttoned up the shorts I saw that they fit me almost perfectly. But they were short, very short. The hem on the legs were just barely below my crotch. But, after tucking things away, they did fit okay, and there was no sign that I was a boy. That was okay, but then, after staring at myself in the mirror, I realized that I not only looked okay, I was starting to like the way I looked. The fit of the shorts, the swell of breasts, the taste of the lipstick. God, I was going crazy. Boys are not supposed to like dressing up as a girl, but I had to admit, even to myself, that I didn't look like a boy in a dress in any way. I looked just like most girls my age do. The more I looked at my reflection, the more I thought about what Mom had said. I only had to make it into the finals and I would get my car. As I stood there thinking about that, staring at my reflection in the mirror, Mom's decree still pounding away in my head, I made a momentous decision. Since I was given no choice in the matter, and knowing that I would have to dress up as a girl for 3 months or so, I decided to not only do my best, but do better than that. I was definitely going to try real hard to make Mom eat some words, and get my car to boot. There was only one place to look. I went online, and quickly discovered a ton of sites catering to boys that dressed up like girls. After I sorted through all the porn stuff, I searched a bit closer, and found several sites that could help me. I opened a new window and checked my savings account before I went to the primary site, and using their form, carefully selected then ordered what I wanted. Mom was going to have a cow. A big one. Smiling, I went to the second site and once again ordered what I wanted. A week. That's how long I would have to wait. Mom wanted me to be perfect? Well, she was about to get exactly that. I want to make it clear that my interest in buying those things was based purely on the fact that I wanted my car, not because I had suddenly decided to become a girl, and given what Mom had told me, that I would be dressing like this for 3 months, there was the fact that being able to look exactly like a girl might also protect me in a way. It was a bit altruistic, but what the hell, I was going to win, get my car, and go back to being myself. That's the plan. Over the next few days, I tried on everything we had bought, practiced walking in those heels, and under Mom's tutelage, began learning how to sit, walk, and stand. Nothing complicated, just tiring. On Friday, the stuff I ordered arrived, and I quickly took the packages to my room so that I could see if the reality matched the pictures. They did. It was actually scary how good they looked. I read the instructions very carefully before I tried anything on, then, making sure my bedroom door was locked, I undressed. I stepped into the panty, making sure my member was in the right place before I pulled them up and into place. The results were spectacular to say the least. The color and shading was perfect. I slipped them down a little, then used the adhesive that came with them. After I spread it around, I pulled the panty back into place, running my hands across my backside to make sure the seams were tight. Then came the breast forms. Like the panty, the color was virtually perfect, and like the panty, they were held in place with adhesive. After carefully attaching them, I stood naked in front of the mirror and saw a girl staring back at me. Wider hips gave the illusion of a narrow waist which rose to a pair of modest breasts, a full A cup. Running my hand down between my legs, I fingered the thin slit that the panty gave me, surprised when I found out that I could insert my finger. I used the latex color stick to help hide those thin seams, then I got dressed. I'm not sure, but I think Mom figured out something was different, although she didn't say anything during dinner. Dad just sat there, seemingly oblivious to the changes I had undergone, the way I looked and everything. His only comment was that I probably needed to get my hair styled. Later, as I helped Mom clean up, "You look like the cat that got the canary, Susan. Does it have anything to do with those packages that came today?" "What packages?" I asked, hoping she would buy it, I guess. "The ones you grabbed and took to your room, and locked the door behind yourself. Those packages." I was sunk. "I want you to tell me what was in those packages, and I want to know right this instant, young lady." I have to. "Can I just show you?" Since I had obviously not been successful in hiding my new accoutrements, Mom had after all figured out that I was hiding something. I conceded the obvious and went in my room with Mom right on my heels. Turning, I pulled the top over my head, pausing before I unhooked the bra, setting my new babies free. I heard Mom gasp, but kept going. I slid the shorts off along with my panties in a single motion, then turned to face her. I saw her eyes go wide as she took in the changes, then, "What's the meaning of this?" "I mean, you look..." "Well," I began, "you yourself said that you wanted me to look perfect, right?" "Well, now I do. And besides, with the way I look now, and since you told me that I can't stay in the house all summer, I'll be a lot safer since nobody can say that I'm a boy in a dress, right?" "Well, yes, but how, where?" "No. Never mind. Don't tell me. Let me see the instruction sheet they gave you." Mom sat on the bed as she read those instructions for the panty from front to back, twice, then, "Did you read these?" "Yeah, how to get them on, why?" "So you know that you're going to start having periods." "What?" "That's what it says right here. It says, in about 3, maybe 4 days, the wearer will experience the most feminine thing possible. The wearer will experience a period, which will last about 5 days, and recur at roughly 30-day intervals for 4 months. Hygiene maintenance of the panty is the same as that for a natural woman." Periods? I was about to have a period? I fell back on the bed, shock running through me like lightning. "I know that I told you I wanted perfection, but this. I just wanted to make you happy, Mom." "Yes, well, if you can have periods, you might also guess that you can have sex as well, right?" "What?" "You're way too young for sex, but it does make it imperative that you present yourself as a young lady at all times, and take the same precautions that all girls do. You can also get raped, you know." "Mom." I was just. "I know, honey, and I appreciate your effort, but now we have to teach you all about being a girl. The personal hygiene stuff, I mean. And you're right. You do look absolutely perfect. I don't see how anyone could tell, unless you told them, and even then who would believe you? Get a nightgown on. Tomorrow you and I will go to the drugstore and get you a few things that you'll need. Thankfully, Mom never mentioned my predicament to Dad. The next day Mom and I went to the drugstore, buying things that I didn't even know existed. When we got back home, I got my first lesson in using what Mom called my twatsy tools. From inserting a tampon to using the douche. From how to wash myself to how to clean up after using the toilet. Ugh. I never expected any of that stuff. Then Mom told me that I could now use the pool at the women's center when she went to, adding that all I needed was a suit to wear, so out we went, back to the mall. While we in there, with me trying on suits, I had a blue bikini on at the time. A friend of mine from school walked into view. Her name was Janet, and she knew my mom, which meant that she might just guess who I was. I wanted to run back into the booth, but it was too late for that, so I just stood there hoping. "Hi," Janet said brightly. "Oh, hello Janet. This is Susan. She'll be staying with us all summer while Jeff is away." "Hi Sue. I'm Janet." "Hi Janet," I said softly. "Nice suit." "Yes. It does look nice on her," Mom said, "but she needs at least 2, maybe 3, and we just haven't found anything that we both like." "I know what you mean," Janet said. "It took me forever to find something I liked." "One that your mother would let you wear outside the house, you mean?" "Well, yeah, but still." "Mom." "Yes, dear? Can I change?" "Go ahead, honey, we'll have to look elsewhere." "Bye," Janet said brightly. "See you later?" "Sure. Bye." Later, Mom and I found several swimsuits that we both liked. One of them was even a full-cut bikini. Then it was back home where I went in my room and put on the bikini. As sad as this sounds, I really did like the way it fit, and with my new parts in place, looked perfectly natural on me. I wandered out to the kitchen to get a soda, and saw Mom sitting there with Janet and her mother. "Honey," Janet and her mother asked if we would like to join them at a tea at their church later this afternoon. "I think that your light blue dress will be perfect. We'll stop by and pick you up at 3 p.m. then?" "We'll be ready. Thanks for asking." After they left, Mom told me to take a bath and get ready, telling me that she would do my hair. I sat in the bubble bath soaking for a while, then used a razor to touch up my skin. Sweet skin lotion followed, then I began to get dressed, starting with the high-cut pale blue panties and matching bra. Since I did not need to pad anything, my butt looked very nice in those panties. Pantyhose and a half slip, then I went into my bath to try my hand at makeup. A bit later Mom walked in and fixed my hair in a nice bob, told me my makeup was fine, then went to get dressed herself. I slipped the dress over my head and zipped it up before I adjusted the bra straps so they would hide under the straps of the dress. I slipped on the white heels before I finished by adding a pinkish red lipstick and some perfume and changing my earrings for white ones. I changed to a white clutch bag and left my room. Mom wasn't ready yet, so I sat waiting for her. When she walked out, she looked spectacular. I had never seen Mom look so good. "Damn. You look nice, Mom." Well, I couldn't let my own daughter show me up, could I? As we sat and waited for Janet and her mom to arrive. "Make sure that you have some tampons in your bag, honey. It's about time for you to start your period, remember?" I was beginning not to like this girl thing. Me? Use tampons? I did what she told me, and a few minutes later we all left for the social, Janet and I in the back seats. Neither of us said much on the way there, but once we were out of the car, following our mothers. "You're not a girl," Janet said softly. Since we had seen her in the mall, I had figured this would happen. I mean, I had screwed up and called my mom right in front of her. But I had my ace in the hole. The new parts one had bought. "I can prove that I am," I said just as softly. "Let's go then." By the time we reached the ladies' room, I could feel myself getting wet, and I knew that my period had started. Mom warned me that's how I would know. I rushed into a stall and quickly inserted a tampon, folding my panties into a small plastic bag I had brought just for that reason. When I had cleaned up, I turned and opened the stall door so that Janet could see that I wasn't a boy. With her eyes wide, I pulled on a clean pair of panties. I guess I was wrong, Susan. Boys can't have periods, but you sure are. Sorry. I straightened up, and we went back to the party, finding our mothers entrenched in conversation. We started to walk away, but they saw us. Hi there, they both said in unison. Honey, let me introduce Mary Watson, and this is Cheryl Ermintops. Ladies, this is my daughter Susan and her friend Janet. Hellos were exchanged, then Janet and I joined them. The conversation was mostly about men and boys, theirs and others. It was illuminating to see how they thought about guys, their faults as well as how they were attractive. With zero experience as a girl who had dealt with boys, I kept my mouth shut and simply listened. Then Cheryl Ermintops said, "If you girls are interested, I could use some help in my store this summer. You'll get a 25% discount on everything, even if it's on sale. Would you be interested in that?" "That's a great idea," my mom said. "It'll get you out of the house for a change, and you'll be able to have some money of your own." "I agree," Janet's mother added. I hated the idea. Working in a high-class dress shop? Me? On the way home I told Mom that I wasn't keen on working as a girl, especially in a dress shop, because I didn't have a clue about all of the styles. "But how can you say that?" Mom asked in a surprised tone. "I know that Janet was with you when you started your period today, so she thinks that you're a girl, and I'm sure that Cheryl doesn't expect either of you to know everything. Besides, it'll be a good experience for you. Think of all the nice people you'll meet. But what about that charm school you mentioned? So, now you want to go to the charm school?" "Mom, no. It's just that you said." "I know what I said, but Cheryl has agreed to set your schedule around your classes, so that won't be a problem, will it?" Once again I had been backed into a corner. The only good thing about it was that Janet was positive that I was really a girl. That would stop her from wondering about me when I did something awkwardly. It also meant that I was forced to be as feminine as I could be, at all times. I was just getting used to using the bath like a girl, and I was still having trouble with the way I used my hands and arms. I just knew that this whole thing was going to come crashing down on us like a ton of bricks, ruining both Mom and me the most. For the most part, Dad seemed okay with my transition, although a few times he did say that I seemed to be a little extra girly. But that night, after dinner, I went to my room and changed into my baby doll outfit. I could see traces of my naked breasts, and although no sign of my vagina could be seen, it was clear that I no longer looked like a boy in any way. Wider hips and breasts do that. I slipped on my slippers and walked out of my room. Up to that point I had not let on that I had made some serious changes, allowing Dad to think that it was all removable padding, but if Mom was going to push my buttons to make me do what she wanted, well, Dad had a right to know. He saw me first, and with the hall light behind me, he could see right through my baby doll. I saw his eyes go wide and his mouth open. But before he could say anything, "You go get a robe on right this instant, young lady." "But why? What's wrong with what I have on?" "You know perfectly well what's wrong." "No, go put on a robe." I had accomplished what I wanted to do, and with a grin I went to get a robe. I could hear Mom trying to tell Dad what was going on. I returned just as, "What the hell do you mean? You're telling me that he can have periods? Just like a normal girl." "Honey," Mom said calmly, "you are the one that insisted that he do this, and you're the one that promised him a car if he made it to the finals. You had to know that he would do almost anything to get a car, and even though he went a bit further than we imagined, he has managed to become a female in virtually every way, and can function as a female in every respect. So I don't want to hear any more nonsense about this. She is our daughter, at least for a while, and you will treat her like one. Understand?" Mom sounded very angry. Then she turned to me. "And you did that on purpose. I'm warning you that there will not be a repeat of that, or I promise, you will not like the consequences. Do you understand?" Both Dad and I were vigorously nodding our heads in agreement. Mom pointed her finger at me, and I went to my room. I could hear my dad still sputtering in the background. I stayed in my room, surfing the net instead of letting Mom vent on me some more. Stories and pictures abounded, and I read a few that sounded interesting. The next morning Mom got me up early, telling me, "Just panties and bra today, honey, and wear your shorts with a blouse that buttons up. You and I have appointments at the salon. We'll be there a good 6 hours. They have a lot of work to do on you today." I knew it was coming, a visit to the salon I mean, but I simply couldn't figure why they needed 6 hours. For a haircut? That seemed a bit much, but I did what I was told, and after a quick breakfast, we were on our way. When we got there I was whisked to a back room told to undress, and wear a robe they gave me. I found out why when I laid on that table and the girl started pouring hot wax on my legs. With the sound of wax being ripped off, she denuded my legs of all the hair she could find, all the way up to my snatch. As bad as that was, she started on my arms, then my back, tummy and bottom. I don't think she left 1 square inch of skin unwaxed. Mom had told me that waxing would reduce the number of times that I would have to shave myself, but damn. The girl also did under my arms, which really hurt, then she thinned my eyebrows a bit. By the time she was done, so was I. Until she rubbed in the lotion I hurt all over. This girl thing was really starting to be a pain. After a short break I was allowed to get dressed, and was then herded into the stylist's chair where she descended on me. A good wash, some snips, then rollers wound tightly against my scalp. "Your mother and I agree that since you have a sort of reddish tint in your hair naturally, that you will look stunning if we tint your hair a light auburn color. The chemicals will burn for a moment, but that will go away quickly. Okay? Yeah. Sure. Whatever." I had no idea. When she was done, and I was under the dryer, another girl started in on my nails. A thorough cleaning followed by the addition of acrylic nails which she trimmed to a modest 1/4 inch beyond my fingertips. After painting them a sort of reddish pink, the 2 coats of color were followed by a clear cover, then I was back in the stylist's chair. After she brushed out my hair she clipped and trimmed some more, then announced that she was done. I was more than shocked when I looked in the mirror. Before I could completely take in what they had done to me I was whisked off to the makeup station where a different lady carefully redid my makeup. By the time they announced that I was done, I looked even more like a girl than before. I know that Mom did not expect me to look this way. I know that I never did. Being a stupid boy, I had agreed to let her turn me into a girl for an equally stupid party, only I'm the one that decided to take it further without once realizing the consequences, which turned out to be huge. Janet thought I was a girl because I let my pride get in the way when I showed her that I looked like her. Now, looking the way I did, I also knew in my heart that any denial that I was a girl would fall on deaf ears. I had the body, the look, and most of the mannerisms of a girl. And I knew that I was the one that precipitated the whole damn thing when I bought the panty and breast forms, but I liked the way I looked, something any normal boy should hate, not revel in. Regardless of what this all started out to be, I knew in my heart that I was never going to be a boy again. Mom loved having a daughter, I liked the way I looked, and I thought that my dad, although he was really confused about my change, was coming around. I saw Mom walk up, and she looked ravishing. My mother never looked so good. "Susan, you looked wonderful." "So do you, Mom. Let's go have a nice lunch," she said lightly. We were sitting outside at a small table when I told her, "Mom, this girl thing, it's gone so far that I don't think that I can go back to being a boy. I mean, I never wanted to be a girl, but look at me. I know, honey. I've known for a while now. But how? I mean, I never did this before. I never wanted to be a girl, it just happened. I can't tell you why you feel this way, honey. I can only tell you that you have gone from being that ugly duckling I mentioned to being a beautiful princess, and there is nothing to be ashamed about. To be truthful, I never expected you to look the way you do, and I certainly did not expect you to like it, and that's the truth. But if you want to go back to being a boy, I'll not stop you. I never would, but since you're telling me that you do like being a girl, let's not dwell on the why. Let's figure out how we can tell your father without him going ballistic. I've been very happy with you as our son. You're a good boy, you have good grades, you don't smoke or drink, and you're very polite. But having a daughter will not be as strange as I thought it would be, so we'll just have to find a way for you to remain a girl instead. Besides, she said softly, you can hardly unmask yourself as a boy at the party now, can you? The revelation, to myself anyway, that I liked being a girl, had been slowly creeping up on me, but it wasn't until I saw myself after that visit to the salon that it really hit me. Like a sledgehammer. Once that happened, I realized that I could be expected to suffer all of the indignities that girls do, as well as all of the thrills. Getting all pretty at the salon was a plus. Pretty dresses were a plus, but having periods sucked. Being pretty was a plus. Dating boys wasn't even on the radar. Mom and I sat there absorbing what I had said, the total impact of it not quite hitting home. There was my dad to consider, how he would take having a daughter rather than a son. Then there was Janet, who thought that I was really a girl, and lastly, how could I ever fit in at school, assuming that Mom could arrange for me to attend as a girl, and did I even want to try that? I had managed to find myself stuck in one of those corners where there isn't any really clear answer. I wasn't happy at the thought that Mom had chosen a girl's costume for me, yet, on the other hand, I am the one that tried to one-up her. Me myself, all alone. I did that. And now that I had endured the transition, suffering a period, having to sit to pee 20 minutes to half an hour longer getting ready every day and everything else that getting dressed as a girl entailed, I found myself not only feeling secure as a girl, but also happy as a girl. I could just tell Mom that I wanted to quit and it would end, but could I? Or maybe, would I? Mom just sat there placidly as all those thoughts ran through my mind until, Mom, would I have to date boys? I mean, well, if we can arrange for you to attend school as a girl, there are the proms, the harvest dance, the Christmas dance and so on, and I'm sure that you would want to attend those. Plus, what would you do? Stay home all of the time? No dear, I'm sure that a nice young man would ask you out, and after a while, you would say yes rather than stay at home all the time. How could you possibly say no? Besides, you're a very pretty girl, and I simply can't see the boys letting you stay unattached for very long, no matter what you think. I knew that Mom was right, only I just could not see myself dating, let alone kissing a boy, but that was a fact of life for girls, and I knew that if I remained a girl it would happen. Mom had given me the out, but it was up to me to take it, if I could, or really wanted to. When we got home I went to my room and once again stared at the girl that I had become. Pretty nice looking if I do say so myself, but my boobs were not very big, and I was still a bit awkward and shy. I had one last thing to try before I could even decide, so I undressed, and reached in my dresser and pulled it out. I bought in a fit of femininity when I was with Janet. I stepped into the bottoms and pulled them snug before I tied the strings at the hips. The bra, if you want to call it that, was merely two triangles connected with strings, but it did cover me. I stood there for a moment staring at my reflection before I daringly walked out of my room and into the den where I knew Mom would be. She heard me and looked up. That looks obscene. But on the other hand, it does tell me something, honey. It tells me a lot. Could I mean, do you think I can convince everyone that I'm a girl? Really? Now that's a stupid question if I ever heard one. You know what you look like in that thing, so you tell me. My boobs are too small, mother, and my hips are just fine. We'll talk about your cup size later, but does this mean, what does it mean? I can't go back, mother. Then I started to cry. Giving up one's birthright is a very serious thing, especially for a boy, yet I had just done it. I had elected to give up the edge that society has built in for the boys, for the uncertainties of being a girl. There would be no more rushing into the bath at most events. Instead, there would be the long lines. There was the pressure of looking nice at all times versus the way guys can look like slobs and get away with it. And of course there was the biggest issue of all. Boys, how far do you go? How does a girl attract the one she likes and repel the others? And just exactly how do girls get along with each other? I had opted to find out, and to tell the truth, I was scared out of my wits. Dressing up as a girl for a costume party was one thing. Actually becoming a girl full-time was definitely something altogether different. It was no game, I knew it. It was going to be the real deal. I did not change, but I did add a thin robe to cover up. My dad was about to get it right between the eyes. He would end it or he would not. There wasn't going to be anything in the middle. After all those hours at the salon, turning out the way I did, and not looking the slightest bit like his son, and by wearing what was essentially a thong bikini, I hoped to send a strong message. That night, when Dad saw me like that for the first time, he almost freaked out, and that's being kind. He had no idea that I could look like that, let alone wear something so skimpy and not look foolish. He ranted a bit, told me to change clothes, then grabbed Mom by the arm and dragged her into the kitchen. I changed into a pair of what are called boy shorts. They have legs that are about 3 inches long and were just snug enough to assure that there was no doubt that I was a girl. I added a pullover top and shoes before I walked into the kitchen. Dad was sitting there in a pout, his face etched with both anger and frustration, tempered by what had to be his knowledge that he was probably going to lose. He took one look at me when I walked into the kitchen and scowled. "A girl? You want to be a girl? Why? Boys have so many more options." "Dad," I said softly, "I didn't actually choose this. It chose me. Look at me. Do I look like a boy in any way? Christ. I'm even having periods now. How many boys do that?" "I know," he said, "your mother told me, but you also know that if even one person discovers that you are not a girl, well, your tenure in any high school would be dangerous for you. Very dangerous, and I don't care about the fact that you're having periods for Christ's sake. The fact that you say it like you enjoy them is nuts. I don't enjoy having periods, Dad, and I don't know any girl that does. All I know is that I've become a girl. That's why I want to start taking the pills, or shots, or whatever. So I can be a real girl. With my own boobs and hips, and soft skin. Sheesh. This was just supposed to be for a party, not a total change of lifestyle. But it's already happened, dear, Mom said as she put her hand over his. And, as you can see, Susan is not a baby anymore. She knows what she wants, and she's old enough to tell us. Even if you say no and tell her that she cannot do this, I'll bet that we'll still see a lot of her anyway. Take a good look at her, then tell me she cannot do it. Besides, I interjected, since I'm starting high school in the fall, I can attend any of 3 schools. I can go to one where nobody knows me, but I like the charter school best. I did not raise my son to be a damned sissy. Dad almost yelled. "I'm not a sissy." I yelled back, "I'm a girl." "Stop it, you two," Mom said. "I think it's time that we all sat down and discussed this." Once we were all sitting down. I have seen Susan every day since this all started. I've even seen her naked. And while I'm also not very fond of the idea that our son wants to become a girl, I can no longer deny what I have seen with my own 2 eyes. Just look at her. Can there be any doubt? I know I started this, and that's on me, but Susan has become so much like a girl that it's scary, and I doubt that she could go back to being that well-mannered boy she was. I also think that if we forced the issue, she would be miserable, and that would make this a very tense house. My conclusion is that we try it, for 1 semester. If everything works out, well, we can go from there. Okay? I can't say that I'm in favor of it, but after seeing her in that next to nothing thing she strutted out in, I guess we don't have a choice, do we? Things were going my way. No, dear. Mom said firmly. We still have a choice. The question is, which do we want? A well-mannered, smart, and pretty daughter, or do we want a son that's miserable, probably cranky, and hard to be around? Those are the real questions. Dad did not say another word, but got up and left the room. I was in it up to my eyebrows, committed to a course of action that would either make me or destroy me. The only question left for me was, could I do it? Could I convince hundreds of kids that I was a girl? Especially the other girls. The guys would probably not figure it out very quickly, if at all, but the girls would spot a mistake instantly. That night I quietly asked Mom about the rest. Bigger boobs and the pills or whatever. I think, Mom answered, that for now those boobs you have will do. I'll call the doctor and see what he says. Then I'll have to find a way to get you registered for school, if it's even possible. The next day I walked over to Janet's house to see what school she had selected. It turned out that she wasn't alone, she had several of her friends there. After she introduced me around, we sat on the porch talking and found out they had all selected the charter school, same as me. It was very enlightening to be around so many girls all at once. That had never happened to me before. Their views on boys, clothes, hair, and boys once again were freely bandy about. Who was hot or not, who was a nerd, and who was just plain out of it. None of them had a boyfriend yet, but all of them had someone picked out, except me of course. Susan, Janet said to everyone, is new around here, so she doesn't know anyone yet. Give her time. Yeah, but I'll bet that when she gets started though we'll all have to watch our guys. Thanks Heather, but I'm not really interested right now. Yeah right, came the chorus right back at me. I don't know how they arranged it, but I started school that fall as a girl, and fell into the A group, those kids that were popular. That was new to me, but I quickly became just another pretty face, although I always thought, in the back of my mind, that I wasn't. It took about 2 months before a boy named Ethan started talking to me, eventually asking me out for pizza. Just like Mom had warned, I accepted, and went on my first date ever. I even kissed him when he took me home. The doctor did not want to do it but conceded the obvious, and prescribed the pills that gave me the body I wanted by the time I started school the following fall. I had to wait until I was 18, but I did become a real girl before I started college. What a party it's been!